Tommy, even for him, Donald Trump did a completely unhinged phone interview with CNBC this morning where he floated a third term, promised to levy a 250% tax on prescription drugs.
Why not?
And completely crashed out on the jobs numbers. Here he is with MAGA-friendly host Joe Kernan.
I'm not saying earth-shattering. I will say this. The numbers before the election were earth-shattering. I'm not saying these were earth-shattering, but then they announced a couple of 100,000 to make it look a little bit worse from, months before. I said, where did those numbers come from? So
for as much as you want
to, it's a highly political situation. It's totally rigged. Smart people know it. People with common sense know it. And a lot of people like to keep their head under the covers. And
let's move on to this. To your claim that revision helped Biden hurt you for the 800,000. It was in August. There was still plenty of time for voters to see that those weren't real jobs.
After the election in November, but there were other revisions downward from prior to the election because the numbers were rigged, okay? And as you said, look, you take a look after the election, how many revisions downward there were.
So everything is wrong. Every single piece of that is wrong.
Yesterday, the billionaire investor Ray Dalio tweeted that the way the government calculates the jobs numbers is obsolete and error-prone. But if it's true that Trump fired the head of the BLS just because he didn't like that the numbers were bad for him, that would be a huge problem, and Trump should make his thinking clear. I guess he did that here, huh?
Clear as mud. The October 2024 job numbers were terrible. The economy added 12,000 jobs. The markets were expecting 110,000. Trump hammered Biden and Kamala Harris at his rallies for how bad those job numbers were. So that was totally factually wrong. But Joe Kernan there, the CNBC, he fancies himself as gruff, tough guy, straight talking host. You couldn't fucking Google for 30 seconds and kind of get the facts right because Trump's argument about the August revisions make no sense either. The BLS revised down about a year's worth of job data right before an election.
Yeah.
800,000 jobs revised down before the election.
A horrible development for Kamala Harris.
Trump's argument was that it got leaked and they were trying to hold it. No, the BLS put out the data. None of this makes sense. A competent fucking anchor would have this information at his fingertips and push back.
He did. He tried. And
he's pathetic. That guy sucks.
He tries, and then he's like, I know some people want us to correct you on air, and I'm trying, and blah, blah, blah. But
try harder.
You could tell he didn't want to go in on it.
He's a MAGA guy.
And then he, at the end of the interview, he basically was like, come back on every week now.
Access.
So at one point, the other host, Becky Quick, asked Trump if the economy is struggling in part because he keeps deporting huge numbers of working immigrants. Here's how that went.
We're getting the criminals out of our country because they had an open border policy because they were fools, and they allowed people from prisons and gang members and drug dealers into our country. We're getting the criminals out of our country by the thousands, and they're taken. We have murderers. We have people that are mentally insane. They come out of insane asylums, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody. These people that you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it?
Just so much to address here.
I know that people have been throwing around eugenics accusations lately. Some of them are a bit silly. It does seem pretty racist to say that immigrants who work on farms are naturally suited for manual labor.
It's racist on every level, and it's shocking. And the fact that the President of the United States will say that and it'll kind of just drift off into the racist ether is so depressing. Also, when he says people from the inner city, that is clearly old man talk for black people. Mm-hmm. But one reason that people who live downtown in cities might not work on farms is because cities are far from the rural areas where farms are. Sir, he's such a fucking idiot. He's a racist idiot. Also, second, the current ICE deportation data is clear that we are not deporting the worst of the worst. According to a CBS News report in mid-July, ICE has only deported 729 people with homicide convictions. That's 0.58% of deportations. And only 3,256 of the more than 100,000 people deported had known or suspected gang ties or ties to terrorist groups.
And they continue to go raid farms. And even though they wanted some kind of a protection, and people were saying, oh, look, it's a protection for farm workers or hospitality and leisure workers, what they have decided is Trump will go out and tell everyone and tell farmers and tell anyone asks, we're protecting our farmers, we're protecting workers on the farm, we're not going to deport those people. And then Stephen Miller and his secret police force are just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, they'll do whatever they want.
And they don't care. They're like, well, he's going to lie and say whatever he wants to say, and we're going to actually do what we want to do.
I did want to take a moment to thank the State Department for negotiating the return of a man convicted of triple homicide.
Yeah.
We got him back from Venezuela.
Worst of the worst, walking free.
Dahoud Hanid Ortiz, he went to a law office in Spain. He tried to kill a lawyer he thought was having an affair with his wife. Instead, he killed a random man and two women. One he killed with a knife or a machete. Another he killed with an iron bar. He is now walking free in the United States, so I feel safer.
And the State Department knows that, and there were internal emails where they were like, oh, do we want this guy too?
They were like, we did an oopsie.
And they're like, well, it's too late. We're already going to bring him back. What are we supposed to do?
And their solution, much like in the BLS situation, was to stop talking about the 10 men they got back and to start talking about 9.
Yeah, but then that 10th guy, we don't know where he is.
If we
He's
ignore
just
him,
he's walking free.
He can't kill again.
He's walking free. I tweeted
pretend.
about this, and people are like, well, you can't say anything about it because you supported Biden who let in all the murderers. And I'm like, okay, so now you're whatabouting letting a triple murderer free in America. That's
Again.
what you're doing? You're going to defend that?
You negotiated the release of 10 people in Venezuelan captivity. You couldn't sort of Google one of them and figure out
in
if he was a
exchange
triple
for
murderer?
people that we had tortured in a foreign gulag who had no criminal record.
Yeah.
Anyway, last but not least in this interview, we have Trump going full Mad King over what he's entitled to and how popular he thinks he is.
I won Texas. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, as you probably know. And we are entitled to 5 more seats.
I don't know.
Something else. I got the highest vote in the
You did?
history of Texas,
Okay.
a record that they say won't be beaten unless I run again.
Are you going to run again? The
No,
Constitution
probably not. I'd like to run. I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. You know why? Because people love the tariffs.
Among
I have
Republicans.
poll numbers where I'm 71%. I have the best poll numbers. Look,
Those are among Republicans. You know you've got.
No. Among Republicans, I'm at 94 and 95%. No, I'm
Well,
talking
you've
about
got-
generally. I have the. Let me
you've
put
got-
it this way: there was a gentleman on Harry Emden yesterday on CNN, and he went crazy over how well Trump was doing. If you check CNN tomorrow, watch Harry Emden. The Democrat Party is self-destructing. I mean, when you have low IQ people like Crockett, I wonder if she's in a relationship to the late, great Davy Crockett, who was a great gentleman. I wonder if she's got any relationship to Davy Crockett.
I knew Davy Crockett. You're no Davy Crockett.
Yeah, his brain is just like frozen in amber in the 1950s. Again, shout out Joe Kernan for being on the ball here. Maybe have a Google tab open, ChatGPT, get an intern to look into this. In 1932, Roosevelt won Texas with 88% of the votes.
You think that's what the paper shuffling was?
A margin of 76 points. George Bush also did better than Trump's margin in 2004. Bush got 61% to Kerry's 38%. So, again, just completely making up this idea that he has the best results ever in Texas, which entitles him to 5 more congressional seats.
I was going to say, yeah, least of the problems with that is
Absolutely
the Texas
insane.
thing. He's entitled to 5 seats. He should run again. He says, oh, maybe I'll run again because I have the best poll numbers ever. 71% approval rating. You cannot find like the biggest MAGA pollster online fucking polls where they just they go on a right-wing website and say vote here. They don't get you to 71% for him. Like, do you think he genuinely believes that?
I bet that's what it is.
Do you think that's what people are telling him? Do you think no one is telling him anything about anything?
I
like,
bet-
is this like a like late-stage Biden situation here?
I bet you it was like a TPUSA like Twitter poll. I bet you anything you just actually got what it is.
71%, and then immediately to Jasmine Crockett, and then immediately to Davy Crockett.
Again, Davy Crockett, born in the 1780s, died at the Battle of the Alamo in 1836, was a congressman.
Was a congressman.
Interesting guy, fought in the Texas Revolution, was a huge opponent of Andrew Jackson's policies, especially the Indian Removal Act.
Look, he did.
Courageous.
In fairness to Trump, he did take it back around to Texas. He started
It's
in
true.
Texas. He got back to Davy Crockett,
Yeah.
also a Texas representative.
No, he was a Tennessee
Oh,
representative.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Oh, Jasmine Crockett is Texas.
Jasmine Crockett's
That's right.
Texas.
That's what it was. So maybe no relation.
Yeah, again, disaster of an interview. None of it made any sense.
It's crazy.
He's crashing out on CNBC. They just sit there and listen to it. It would be great if Joe Kernan would use some of his tough guy, Long Island bravado to push back on this asshole ranting at him on the phone. But
Trump has had like the worst. I mean, the damage he's done in the first 6 months is horrific. I do think that since the Epstein file thing, we're seeing what happens when he feels defensive and he's like starting to crash out, because in the first couple months he thought he was doing well, even though we thought he wasn't. But now it's starting to like he's feeling like he's back in the corner, which I know it's like fun to make fun of it, but I get a little worried because when he gets cornered like this, then he gets even crazier and he does even worse.
Yeah, I mean, he's been hitting the Obama treason button over and over and over again. So yes, they're certainly freaking out over there.
Anyway, good stuff.
As always, what are 3 YouTube videos you'd recommend to the audience? It's our last question. Always, right?
Well, let's think.
Here's one. Anything by Pod Save America, because if we don't get to 1 million subscribers by the end of August, our great staffer Elijah is fired. But also, the right wing is killing us on YouTube. They have huge accounts. Benny Johnson added 2 million subscribers in the last 3 months. You guys got to help us by subscribing because it's free, and also you help us get good information into the algorithm when people are searching for political news.
Elijah's going to be going to produce Lego building videos, which is the YouTube videos that I wanted to recommend in year 3.
He has a family.
He has a family.
3, so you got a couple good Lego ones?
Yeah.
I would have said Miss Rachel, Miss Rachel, Miss Rachel.
Yeah, we do Lego builds now. It's
solid.
Really exciting.
Daniel Tiger.
So go to YouTube right now. Subscribe. Pod Save America. Hit the button. Tell your friends to hit the button.
Beep, boop, boop.
That's it.